Welcome to Field Trials, a future farming webcast exploring innovations, issues, and perspectives in new farm technology. This is Matt, your Canadian farm kid and journalist host. Thanks for tuning in. Think Iron Man rather than Terminator. That's the analogy guest Mike Winn, CEO of DroneDeploy, references when describing the role of ever better field analysis tools. Join the discussion as we chat about some of the company's latest tools and how the objectives of drone software have developed alongside and beyond the hardware. Right, today we're talking with Mike Winn. He's the CEO and co-founder of DroneDeploy. Mike, thanks for coming on.
A pleasure to be here. Thanks, Matt.
I appreciate your time, and we're going to talk about drones, obviously. And I guess maybe we can start off. Just give me a little brief introduction on what is DroneDeploy, what's the company focused on, specifically with an ag context, because I see that you kind of span a lot of different industries.
Yeah, happy to tell you. So DroneDeploy, we make drone software. It's not the drones themselves, but the software to make them into business tools. I would say very early on, we made the bet as a company that the drone hardware would commoditize, and it would be great for taking photos. People could fly them with the sticks, but really to make them into business tools, somebody needed to make a mobile app that could tell a drone what to do, to cover an area, to capture data, and to analyze that data and get it shared. And we started 9 years ago. That's still what we do today. But the difference, I think, between where we started and where we've landed up is just the specificity in the tools that we provide. And ag happens to be our first market. It's one very close to our heart. And it's where we have some of our most sophisticated tools in the analysis that we provide.
Yeah, well, drones. So I've been doing this kind of gig for a number of years now, and I think when I started, drones were just really starting to kind of take off as a pardon the pun, that was not intended, as a viable tool for a variety of different things. So let's talk about that. I know something that was mentioned. You worked specifically a project with Corteva, I think, on stand count analysis. Maybe we can start with that, and then talk about some other some other useful tasks that drones have actually very proven themselves to be very cost effective and effective at doing.
Yeah, totally. So stand count is actually our newest product in the ag world, and it's a great demonstration of what's possible with the combination of flying robots and machine learning. And it's a good example of partnership between companies that specialize in different things. So at DroneDeploy, we're the world's biggest maker of software for drones, commercial drones. Corteva, I think, is the leader in market share when it comes to, certainly for corn, I believe.
Yeah, they've got quite a sizable chunk of the market, that's for sure.
Yeah, and corn and soybeans. They bring this massive expertise in agriculture and understanding the way the plants grow. And we bring in expertise in collecting data from drones. And so we were able to bring this together into a product called Stand Count. And what it enables you to do is to, as a grower, as an agronomist or a retailer, you can very quickly go out into the fields and do your stand counts much, much faster. So instead of actually walking the fields, doing manual, time-consuming, inaccurate stand counts, we provide a fully automated tool. So you press a button, the drone flies, takes off, flies about 80 to 100 feet, and it's able to count all the crops in your field. And it's a lot faster. I'm trying to look at the numbers here. Yeah, this is from Eric Goldie, who's from Corteva. He was just he said this, like, hey, we used to be able to scout 6 to 10 locations at 1,000th of an acre. Now they can sample 3 times more locations in the field at 100 times greater sample area. And they can do this within 15 to 30 minutes. And so it's like you can capture much more accurate data much more quickly. You can do that from the side of the field without having to walk around. The drone's going to do the work for you. And it's been quite a very popular product. And we're going to see the usage of that product explode in the next couple of weeks as corn starts to reach the V1, V2 stage across the ice states.
It's funny you say that, and we're still waiting to plant.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah, the weather's been a bit unusual this year. Whereabouts are you located?
I'm in and around the kind of Windsor, Detroit area.
Okay, yeah,
southwestern Ontario.
Oh, okay, Ontario.
Yeah,
interesting.
And, it's so immediately have a few different questions come to mind with that. So obviously something that's more efficient, it allows you to cover more acres in less time. Great, that's a great thing. I mean, I imagine that something like that is not imagine. It was said to me by kind of a local expert who does a lot of drone work in my area last year that you really just have to think of drones as an extension of your scouting ability.
Yes.
They're it's not a magic bullet for everything, just like nothing is.
Yeah.
Nothing's magic bullet, but very much just an arm of or an extension of your scouting ability. Have there been any other areas that, let's talk about the last decade of development? Drone technology has really developed to a point where it's very effective in that regard. So you talk about stand counts. That's obviously very valuable for growers looking or really need that information. What about something like disease management, pest management? Because we also have satellite imagery too, right? And it's been said to me many times that they're very complementary technologies.
Yes.
They're not in competition because they do fundamentally different things.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an interesting meme where people are wondering hey, what's the future of robotics? Is it going to take anyone's job? And we definitely don't see it that way. It's about enabling people to do their jobs better. And I think I read somewhere, I forget who it was, I need to give them credit, but it was a great analogy. It's like the robotics isn't about Terminator. It's more about Iron Man. It's about a suit that gives you special capabilities. Yeah. And if you think about in crop scouting, what we do is we enable that whoever the user is across industry. If you take agriculture, it's like, hey, to walk around the cornfield, often in 100-degree heat, it's 160 acres. You're only going to see a fraction of it. The corn will be later stage is going to be really tall. It's taller than you are. But now you can get to a field from the side of the field, press a button, get a drone to take off, and within 15 minutes get a full bird's eye view of exactly what's going on, and be able to identify any differences quickly and say, okay, where should I be scouting the field? So it's not replacing the boots in the field. What it's doing is helping you direct your efforts to the right places where there is variance, where there might be a pest. And it's not there to detect the pest at the stage of the technology. It's very hard to do that today. People will talk about it, but it's a couple of years out. Today, it's more about identifying variability, helping the grower, the agronomist, whoever it is, to be able to walk over to measure the scale of the issue, how many acres, and to be able to create a prescription of whatever the issue is. And so it's actually interesting to think about the different altitudes that we're dealing with here. You might be using satellite data. You might get that through a piece of software where there's a subscription, and you can see which fields might have variability. And you would go to those fields, you would fire a drone to identify where exactly in those fields you have variability, to what extent, to be able to create a prescription. And then you walk over, and so what started at 400 kilometers in altitude and taking photos, then to about 400 feet in altitude, then it's about, 6 feet high, the person in the field walking over to actually identify the exact problem, create a prescription, and be able to load it up into their software for an implement.
It's I actually have a drone in the basement. I haven't been playing around with it much because I think I have to fix it. It's got some problems, but I keep meaning to, specifically because it gives me an excuse to not actually have to walk the entire length of the concession
there we go.
When I'm looking for a problem. But anyway, hopefully I get around to it before that's something I have to do again. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you got something out of the conversation. As ever, the idea is to explore topics, items, and perspectives in the ag tech space. So if you're interested in sharing your own perspective and joining us for a conversation, feel free to get in touch with the Future Farming team at futurefarming.com. You can also reach me directly at FurRural on Twitter. That's at FERRURAL on Twitter, or via ruralphilosopher.com. Thanks again for listening.